You think the first kiss is the climax. No. For a man, that kiss is just the opening scene in a much deeper story. What happens after, that's what defines the relationship, the intention, the future. And if you don't understand what a man truly wants next, you risk everything. That first kiss, it's electric, it's real, it's full of possibility. But what comes after is where everything begins to unfold. A man may not say it out loud, but after that first moment of vulnerability, there are 5 core things he's searching for. 5 deep desires that shape how he sees you, the bond, and where it's all headed. When a man leans in for that first kiss, it's easy to think it's just about attraction, about the physical spark, the chemistry, the moment. But if you look deeper, if you understand the masculine psyche beneath the surface, you'll realize that what he's actually showing you in that kiss is a form of vulnerability. And that vulnerability is not something most men give away easily. Society trains men to be stoic, controlled, calculated. They're taught to hide emotion, to never flinch, to walk through life armored up. So when a man kisses you first, especially with genuine intention, he's laying down his guard for a moment. He's choosing to show you a side that the world often tells him to suppress. He's putting himself at emotional risk, rejection, judgment, misinterpretation, and he's doing it anyway. That moment is not just a kiss. It's a signal he's asking in his own silent way. Can you see me? Can you hold this version of me with respect? And how you respond to that. Not just in that moment, but in the hours and days that follow tells him everything. What a man wants after that first kiss is respect for that vulnerability, not pity, not power over him, not silence, confusion, or manipulation, but respect. He wants to know that he hasn't just given something of himself to someone who doesn't see the weight of it. This doesn't mean he wants you to baby him or glorify him. It means he wants to feel seen for what he just did. He made a move that exposed his intentions, his interest, and maybe even his emotion. And if that moment is met with dismissiveness, sarcasm, coldness, or detachment, it triggers something deep in him. A sense that vulnerability is punished, not valued, that he should have never shown it in the first place. And many men, when that happens, retreat. They pull back, shut down, and move on. Not because they didn't care, but because they didn't feel safe enough to keep going. Respect in this context looks like presence. It looks like appreciation. It looks like appreciation. It looks like meeting him where he's at emotionally, even if you're not sure yet how deep you want to go. You don't have to mirror his level of intensity, but you do have to honor it. That means being mindful of the energy you give off, the way you respond to his communication, and the signals you send in the aftermath. If he texts you, acknowledge it. If he opens up more, listen. If he's showing you more layers of who he is, don't mock it. Recognize the courage it takes. These little acts of emotional respect build a foundation that a man can grow on. Because when a man feels that his vulnerability is safe with you, something incredible happens. He becomes more open, more honest, more aligned with his purpose. He starts seeing you not just as someone he kissed, but someone he could trust, someone he could build something with. This is where real connection begins. It's not in the kiss itself, but in how you handle the emotional thread that follows it. Many relationships never progress because the emotional safety net is never woven. A man might feel chemistry, but if he doesn't feel respected at his core, if he senses that his emotional leap is being treated casually or worse, weaponized, he'll shut it down. And when a man shuts down emotionally, he doesn't come back easily. This is why the first kiss is not a destination. It's a door, and how you walk through it matters. If you want to build something real, understand this truth. Masculine vulnerability is rare, and when he shows it, honor it. Don't abuse it. Don't take it for granted. Don't confuse confidence with invincibility. The strongest men are often carrying the deepest scars, and that kiss might have taken more courage than you know. He may not tell you, but it's there. And if you can recognize that silent courage and treat it with the dignity it deserves, you create a space that draws more of his heart out, not just his attention. There's power in being the woman who sees what others overlook. The one who doesn't just chase the fireworks, but understands the emotional soil from which those sparks grow. That's the woman a man remembers. That's the woman he protects, he invests in and commits to. Not because she played games, but because she understood that a kiss isn't just contact. It's communication. It's his way of asking, can you meet me here? And if your answer is yes, not just with words, but with emotional intelligence and genuine respect, then that kiss becomes a catalyst for everything that comes after. So many relationships break because people don't respect the sacredness of that first connection. They think it's all just fun, all just play. And sure, sometimes it is. But when it's real, when a man puts his heart behind it, you can't afford to miss the weight of what's being exchanged. Honor the moment, honor the man, and honor the version of yourself that wants something deeper. That's how love starts. Not with games, with truth. And truth begins the second that first kiss ends. After the first kiss, when the initial adrenaline settles and the excitement of new possibilities begins to fade into the backdrop of everyday life, what a man is seeking is something far more enduring: consistency. You might think that the thrill of uncertainty, the sparks flying in the chaos, will keep him coming back. But in truth, that's a myth. Sure, sparks are exciting. Who doesn't love a rush of chemistry, a pulse of excitement, or the unpredictability of a fresh connection? But deep down, what a man truly craves is something more grounded, something more stable. Consistency doesn't kill the spark. It nurtures it. Without it, the fire that started with such passion can quickly fade into a flicker, leaving both parties confused, uncertain, and disconnected. Consistency, when it comes to relationships, means that you're not just relying on fleeting moments of intensity to keep things going. It's about building a foundation, piece by piece, through steady actions, dependable words, and shared understanding. A man wants to know that after the first kiss, the excitement of newness has worn off. There will still be trust, clarity, and a reliable connection. This means he doesn't have to question whether you're going to follow through on your plans, whether you'll be there when you said you would, or whether you're going to suddenly disappear into silence for days at a time. A man wants to know that what he saw in you during that first kiss, the connection he felt, is something he can count continuing. And he's not just looking for superficial consistency. He's looking for emotional steadiness. What does emotional consistency look like? It means that your moods and reactions aren't unpredictable to the point where they make him walk on eggshells. A man doesn't want to feel like he has to second guess everything he says or does because you might react dramatically or unpredictably. He wants to feel safe in knowing that you are going to be emotionally reliable. This doesn't mean being perfect or suppressing emotions. It means being grounded, clear, and open. It's about showing up in a way that doesn't leave him wondering whether you're pulling away or whether you're upset and just not communicating it. Consistency creates a rhythm, a sense of emotional safety that makes it easier for both partners to grow together. In a relationship, chaos may feel thrilling, but it's also exhausting. The constant highs and lows can wear anyone down. While it's true that every relationship has its ups and downs, the key is how you weather those moments together. A man doesn't want to be stuck in a loop of confusion, trying to figure out where he stands, where you stand, or what's really going on. He craves a sense of stability in the emotional terrain of the relationship. Chaos breeds uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds anxiety. No one wants to be in a relationship where they're constantly wondering if the other person is interested, if the attraction is still there, or if they're just going to be left in the dust without warning. Consistency, on the other hand, allows space for things to unfold naturally, for both partners to grow and for deeper trust to develop. A man isn't looking for perfection. He's not expecting every interaction to be flawless or every day to go without conflict. But what he does want is to know that no matter what challenges or obstacles arise, you're both committed to facing them together with clarity and understanding. When there is consistency in a relationship, there is less room for unnecessary drama and more room for the relationship to evolve in a healthy, progressive way. He wants to see that you're someone who values trust, respect, and stability, because these are the things that create a deep, lasting bond. When it comes to how you communicate, consistency means being honest and transparent. It means saying what you mean and meaning what you say. It means not playing games with words, but instead being straightforward and genuine. A man doesn't want to guess your intentions or wonder whether you're just saying what he wants to hear in the moment. He wants clarity and integrity, because those things allow him to feel secure enough to open up to you. The steady stream of communication builds trust. It assures him that when you say you'll be there, you will be. When you say you care, he knows you mean it. This isn't to say that spontaneity and surprise aren't important in a relationship. Of course they are. But consistency creates the emotional space where surprises can feel exciting and not threatening. It means there's a safety net of reliability, so that when you do surprise him, he can receive it with joy and appreciation, rather than feeling anxious or insecure about the unknown. On a practical level, consistency also means respecting each other's time. Time is a currency in any relationship, and the way you show up in each other's lives speaks volumes. A man values a woman who respects his time just as he respects her. It's about showing up, being dependable, and putting in the effort to keep the relationship alive. If you make plans, follow through. If you promise something, keep your word. That consistency in actions gives a sense of security that allows a man to invest more fully in the relationship. He doesn't want to feel like he's always putting in the effort while the other person is simply waiting for things to happen. The dynamic has to be reciprocal. Ultimately, consistency in a relationship creates a sense of flow. A man doesn't want to be caught in a tug of war, constantly fighting to keep things together. He wants to feel like he's not just surviving the relationship, but thriving. When both partners are emotionally consistent, trust deepens, attachment strengthens, and the relationship has a firm foundation to build on. It doesn't mean that every day is perfect or that every challenge is easily overcome. But it does mean that together you have the strength to face those challenges without the emotional chaos that can derail the progress. The key to making lasting connection is not in creating constant excitement or drama, but in building a steady, consistent bond that provides the safety and security to explore deeper levels of intimacy, growth, and commitment. Without consistency, the relationship is like a fragile house of cards, easily blown away by the slightest breeze of uncertainty. But with it, a man can trust that what you have is real and reliable, and that's the kind of foundation any relationship needs to thrive. The chaos of emotional unpredictability may feel exhilarating for a while, but it's the consistency that gives a relationship its true power and staying force. Emotional safety is one of the most profound yet often overlooked aspects of a relationship, particularly after that first kiss. It's not just about being physically close or sharing intimate moments. It's about being able to be with each other without fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood or discarded. For a man, emotional safety is an unspoken, vital need that determines how he will show up in the relationship. When he feels emotionally safe, he becomes his truest, most authentic self. Without it, he becomes distant, closed off, or defensive. Emotional safety doesn't just happen overnight. But after that first kiss, it becomes a critical need that must be established and nurtured for the relationship to grow beyond fleeting chemistry and superficial attraction. After the excitement of a first kiss has passed, the real question emerges. Can I be vulnerable with this person? This is when the deeper emotional exchange begins. When a man kisses you, it's an intimate act. He's not just kissing you physically, but giving you a piece of his emotional self. It's a risk because to truly connect with another person, especially emotionally, means opening himself up to potential hurt. Men, like women, are vulnerable creatures, but society often teaches them to hide their emotions or mask them in a cloak of invulnerability. So after that kiss, a man is not only wondering if there's mutual attraction, but whether this person, you, is someone he can trust with his feelings. He wants to know if you can hold space for his emotional depth without shaming, belittling, or minimizing it. He wants to feel like he can express the full range of what he's experiencing, whether it's excitement, fear, confusion, or even insecurities, without feeling like it will be used against him or dismissed as weakness. Emotional safety is about providing a sanctuary, a place where vulnerability is met with acceptance, not criticism. When a man feels emotionally safe, he's more likely to open up about his past, his fears, his hopes, and his dreams. He can share his imperfections and has mistakes without feeling like you will judge him or hold them against him later. This openness builds a sense of trust that cannot be created by surface-level interactions or casual flings. For many men, the act of revealed personal truths or moments of weakness can feel threatening, as if they are putting themselves at risk of losing their dignity or self-respect. But when they find someone who listens without judgment, responds with empathy, and provides reassurance without trying to fix everything, they experience a kind of liberation. In the absence of fear, they can finally be their true selves. It's important to understand that emotional safety doesn't mean you have to walk on eggshells or suppress your own emotions. Rather, it means that you're creating an environment where both of you can be authentic without fear or backlash. For a man, feeling emotionally safe means knowing that his thoughts, feelings, and actions will be met with understanding, not criticism or rejection. He wants to know that when he shares something deeply personal with you, perhaps an experience from his past or an emotion he struggles with, it will be met with compassion and empathy, not mockery or dismissal. It's in these moments that true connection is formed, as the man begins to feel truly seen and understood, not just on the surface, but in his core. He feels like you get him, and that deepens the trust and bond between you. A man will begin to lean into the relationship more deeply when he senses that emotional safety is not only possible, but being actively cultivated. It's the little things that matter most. The way you listen when he speaks, the way you handle disagreements, the way you approach sensitive topics. If every time he opens up, he feels like he's being shut down or invalidated, he will slowly begin to retreat. He might not make it obvious, but inside he'll be withdrawing, even if he's still physically present. The more that emotional safety is maintained, the more he'll show up authentically, sharing himself without hesitation, without a guard in place. Sometimes men struggle to be open about their feelings because of past experiences or societal conditioning that has taught them that vulnerability is a weakness. They may have experienced emotional rejection or dismissal in the past, which makes them fearful of opening up again. If they do take that step to be vulnerable and share a part of themselves with you, it's critical to respond with patience and empathy. You don't have to fix everything or even have the perfect answer. Sometimes just listening, validating his feelings, and offering your understanding is all that's needed. The act of simply being there for him, not rushing to conclusions or trying to make it better, shows him that you are a safe harbor for his emotions. And in turn, that creates space for him to show more of himself, to reveal the parts of his heart that may have been hidden for years. Moreover, emotional safety also means that both partners respect each other's boundaries and honor the space each needs. A man needs to feel that his needs and limits are respected just as much as yours are. When he feels pressured to open up too quickly or too deeply, it can feel overwhelming. Emotional safety is about respecting the pace at which both of you are comfortable moving. It's not about rushing to intimacy or forcing emotional exchanges. It's about allowing the relationship to unfold naturally at a pace that honors this mutual respect for emotional space, allows both partners to engage on their own terms, without fear of being pushed or coerced into something they're not ready. Another key aspect of emotional safety is the idea of non-judgment. It's about providing a space where a man can be real about his struggles, his flaws, and his imperfections without feeling like those things will be used against him. It's easy to be judgmental or dismissive of someone's pain or past, but that creates walls instead of bridges. A man will always appreciate a partner who can hold space for his imperfections, someone who sees the whole person, strengths and weaknesses, and loves him not in spite of his flaws, but because of the full picture of who he is. When emotional safety is present in a relationship, both partners are able to navigate challenges with a sense of calm and resilience. There's less anxiety, less fear of conflict, and more willingness to face difficult conversations. A man feels safe enough to admit when he's wrong, to apologize, and to grow because he knows that your love and respect are not conditional on his purpose. This creates an environment where both partners are free to evolve, to learn, and to deepen the connection without fear of rejection or abandonment. In essence, emotional safety allows both partners to build a lasting foundation of trust and respect. It's not just about the moments of joy or the highs that come with the early stages of attraction. It's about being able to face the lows together, the moments when life throws challenges your way. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you have each other's backs. When a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, it gives him the courage to invest in the relationship fully. He knows that he doesn't have to guard himself against emotional harm. With this safety in place, the relationship has the potential to evolve into something deeper, stronger, and more meaningful. A partnership where both people can show up as their true selves. Respect for himself and his time is an incredibly powerful and often understated factor in any successful relationship, especially after that first. It's not just about the way a man values his time in terms of the hours spent working or engaging in personal pursuits. It's also about how he values his emotional energy, his mental well-being, and his overall sense of self-worth. After that first kiss, a man wants to ensure that the relationship is not just about superficial attraction or fleeting moments of chemistry. He wants to know that his time, both emotionally and practically, is being invested in something that has genuine potential. For a man, respect for himself means being able to recognize when something feels right and worth his effort, and when it doesn't. It's about understanding his own worth and not settling for a relationship that drains him, disrespects his boundaries, or doesn't align with his values. If a man doesn't feel respected or valued, he'll quickly disengage. He's not willing to invest in something that feels like a waste of his emotional or mental energy. This self-respect extends beyond his personal goals. It's about feeling valued as a person in the relationship and knowing that the other person recognizes the importance of his time and contributions. At the heart of respect for himself is the concept of emotional boundaries. A man wants to ensure that his emotional investment is being met with the same level of respect and consideration. After that first kiss, if a man feels that he's giving more than he's receiving, emotionally, mentally, or even physically, he will begin to question the value of the relationship. He doesn't want to feel like he's constantly overextending himself or investing in something that isn't being reciprocated. Respect for himself means that he is willing to step back and assess whether the relationship is fulfilling his emotional needs or whether it's taking more from him than it's giving. In any meaningful relationship, there must be balance. Both partners should feel supported, valued, and respected. If a man doesn't feel that his time and energy are being valued, he may withdraw either emotionally or physically in order to protect himself. In addition to emotional boundaries, respect for time involves an awareness of how he spends his energy. Time for a man is a finite resource. It's something that once spent cannot be reclaimed. He wants to ensure that he is spending his time in a way that adds value to his life, not drains it. This means that after the first kiss, he'll begin to evaluate whether the relationship aligns with his larger life goals. If a man feels like he's investing time in a relationship that doesn't align with his aspirations, whether personal, professional, or otherwise, he may start to question whether it's worth continuing. A man values a partner who understands that his time is precious. This respect for his time is communicated through actions, being consistent in communication, not playing games and showing up when it matters. When a woman respects a man's time, she acknowledges that he has many other priorities in life, whether it's his career, his passions, or his responsibilities. She doesn't expect him to drop everything for her, but rather understands that relationships should be mutually fulfilling, not draining or demanding in ways that feel imbalanced. A man, he also respects himself enough to recognize when he is being disrespected or when his time is being wasted. He doesn't want to be in a situation where he's constantly chasing someone who isn't equally invested. The respect for himself means that he knows his value and is unwilling to invest time and emotional energy into something that feels one-sided. After the initial excitement of the first kiss, he will start to assess whether the relationship feels balanced, whether his time is being respected and used in a way that contributes to his overall growth, happiness, and life satisfaction. If he feels like his time is being taken for granted, if he's constantly making efforts while the other person isn't showing the same level of investment, he will likely pull back. For a man, respect for his time means that he's not going to settle for mediocrity or emotional games. He wants someone who is equally committed, someone who values his time, and someone who can meet him at the same level of emotional investment. This respect for himself and his time also manifests in how he values his personal space. A man isn't just looking for a relationship that consumes all of his attention. He needs time for himself, time to recharge, pursue his own interests, and maintain his own identity. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new connection, but a man who respects himself knows that he cannot lose himself in the relationship. He values his personal freedom and independence, and he wants a partner who understands that about him. This is a vital aspect of self-respect. It's about having the balance between emotional intimacy and personal autonomy. He wants someone who doesn't demand all of his time and attention, someone who respects his need for space and encourages him to continue pursuing his own interests and passions. This respect for personal space is not about distance or detachment. Rather, it's about recognizing that both individuals need room to grow, develop, and live fully as themselves. A man who respects his time also understands the importance of investing in relationships that serve his broader life goals. After the first kiss, he may start to assess whether this relationship is contributing positively to his future or whether it's holding him back. He wants to build something that is sustainable and meaningful, not something that fades away after a few months of emotional highs. If he sees that the relationship is aligned with his personal values and long-term goals, he will invest more of his time and energy into it. But if he feels that the relationship is not contributing to his growth or is in conflict with his deeper desires, he will be quick to pull away. Respect for his time means that he will only invest in relationships that have the potential to add real value to his life, whether that's emotionally, intellectually, or practically. He wants to partner with someone who shares similar values, aspirations, and a desire for growth. This is what drives him to spend time with someone who respects both his emotional and practical time, someone who encourages him to be his best self. Finally, respect for himself and his time is about setting clear boundaries. A man knows that in order to maintain his emotional well-being and peace of mind, he has to draw boundaries with others. He isn't going to tolerate disrespect. Respecting himself means being able to walk away from a situation that feels unhealthy, even if there's an emotional connection. After that first kiss, he may begin to assess whether his boundaries are being respected in the relationship. If he feels that the relationship is causing him more stress or emotional turmoil than joy and fulfillment, he'll step back. It's not about being selfish. It's about honoring his own needs and understanding that he cannot be the best partner if he is constantly being drained by the dynamics of the relationship. In the end, a man who respects himself and his time is looking for a relationship that enhances his life rather than one that depletes him. He seeks a partnership where both individuals contribute to each other's happiness and growth. He understands the value of his emotional energy, and he is only willing to invest in someone who respects that value, reciprocates it, and contributes positively to his life. Without this self-respect, a man cannot be truly happy in a relationship because he will always feel like something is missing or that he's giving too much without receiving enough in return. When both partners respect each other's time and individuality, the relationship becomes a source of mutual enrichment, each person growing, evolving, and thriving together. In conclusion, the journey after that first kiss is filled with potential, but it requires understanding, communication, and a shared vision for the future. For a man, it's not just about the immediate chemistry or fleeting excitement. It's about the deeper connection that can be built with someone who values consistency, emotional safety, clarity of intention, partnership, and self-respect. These elements lay the foundation for that lasting and meaningful relationship, one that can weather challenges and flourish over time. If both partners can align their intentions, honor each other's boundaries, and invest in building a vision for the future together, they have the opportunity to create something truly special. A man desires not just affection, but a partnership, a relationship where both individuals grow, support each other, and work together toward shared goals. He wants a relationship where his time, energy, and emotions are respected, and where the connection goes beyond surface level attraction to something far deeper and more fulfilling. Ultimately, the most successful relationships are those where both people respect themselves enough to demand more than just momentary satisfaction. They are willing to invest in each other, communicate openly, and build a future together. After that first kiss, it's not about waiting for the other person to prove themselves. It's about recognizing the potential for something great and actively working together to make that potential a reality. If both partners share these values and align their efforts, the relationship will not only survive, it will thrive, becoming something lasting, meaningful, and extraordinary. So remember, the first kiss is just the beginning. What truly matters is what comes after, and that's where the real magic happens.